soil organic matter is in decline. And it's a very pressing matter. It's not something we can reverse. If we lose the organic matter, we lose the ability for the soil to produce living organisms.
Hi, I'm Lisa Oxenham, the Beauty and Style Director of Marie Claire, and today we're interviewing Celine Ivari, founder and CEO of Holy Me.
My background is very much in sciences. I studied genetics of human disease and human biology. Then I worked for pharmaceutical labs as a medical educator.
Can you sort of summarize your core ethos as a brand?
Something that was really important to me when starting Holy Me is to be true to who I am. I wanted a company that is a reflection of who I am. And I'm not a lot of things, but I am very caring. I mean, the whole source of developing the products, the formulas, and everything was for my mother, and I care for her deeply. And I think something I know about myself is I care deeply about people, about the people I meet in my journey. And I wanted that to be true to the brand's DNA.
And how does organic beauty and wellbeing go hand in hand with this philosophy?
Organic system vets non-agro ingredients. Within the normal non-organic system, there are about 3,000 generally recognized as safe ingredients allowed to use to obtain flavors, colors, etc., to meet consumer demand. And some are, in fact, linked with health issues. And it might be safe in one product, and the consumption of that one alone wouldn't cause any harm. But because we as users actually use a lot of products, the combined effect of all of those can be harmful to our long-term health. The organic system only allows about 79 non-agricultural ingredients. And those 79 have been very carefully vetted and selected to ensure there is no harm to consumers. And those are the only ones that are allowed to be used. So there's a big difference between the natural system and what is allowed within the space of the organic system. If you use chemical pesticides, you essentially kill the pests within the soil. It makes for more rapid farming, etc. And they're sort of a quick and easy solution. But today, I think pretty much everybody appreciates and understands that a lot of these chemical pesticides are harmful to our health. And the real question for farmers today is, what alternatives do I use in order to maintain my farming? Holy Me, all our products are certified organic by the Soil Association. And I think that's extremely important, actually. Having gone through the process, I now, if I see other products that have the Soil Association icon, I'm like, good job. Yeah. You're a good product. I think people think that organic certified has only to do with agricultural practices and soil growth and all these things, but actually the Soil Association is well beyond that when it comes to certifying their brands as organic, because they actually check all steps of your supply chain. So I think it's really a stamp of excellence to be certified organic these days.
So can you explain what happens with flooding and compact soil?
Yeah, I think that's one of the interesting phenomena that we see in the devastating impacts of global warming, with the soil being compacted either by mechanical practices, machinery sort of compressing the soil, or obviously losing its living organisms because of farming practices. The soil can become really, really dry and hard and lose its ability to sustain life, to sustain roots, to absorb nutrients. And so you end up with completely useless, dry, compacted soil. And because of that, we can see flooding occur. And so it does cause flooding because, in certain areas, maybe the water is being retained by a healthy soil, being absorbed by a healthy soil. But with the soil now being lifeless and useless, it can no longer do that. And you can see an increase in flooding globally. And the flooding in turn compacts the soil even more and worsens the scenario.
Soils are home to a quarter of the Earth's species. Why is it important for insects to live in organic, healthy soil, and how does that support the planet?
Soil organic matter is in decline, and it's a very pressing matter. It's not something we can reverse. If we lose the organic matter, we lose the ability for the soil to produce living organisms, produce plants that feeds animals, that feeds the rest of the world. So it is catastrophic to realize that this is happening. And there are practices that people can take in order to revive or at least stop the decline of soil organic matter. And that at big industry level, it's farmer practices, ensuring that they are using, like I said, alternatives to chemical pesticides, which improves crop quality and soil, and protects the soil and the plants by using microbial pesticides, for instance. So that's at like large farming industry level. And then I think for consumers, it's practices like, recycling things back into the soil. So, you have a fruit or an orange, and instead of throwing out the skin and the seeds and all of that, it's recycling that back into the soil. I actually have a sister who does this all the time. So any form of little practice that preserves our soil, and also just being careful not to throw things out on the soil, being careful to respect nature, to plant certain kinds of trees, and I guess at consumer level to really use organic products, because that increases the demand for this kind of farming and encourages farmers to use these practices, because they can see that is what ultimately the user wants. We're all part of one system, and I think ultimately what you want to understand is that we live in symbiosis with our environment, with nature. We're not separate entities. We all feed from each other and evolve together, and destroying any one part destroys all of it. It's like a domino. You pull one and everything else falls. The soil, as you say, is home to so many plants, and insects feed from plants, and insects will also produce plants because there's pollen, and they'll feed from the pollen and then fly somewhere else and place the seeds there, and then the plants will grow there. So the insects ensure that we have this biodiversity. So there's just no alternative than to protect our soils, but also to protect our oceans, to protect the humans we live, the society we live in, the planet we live in. It's all one. It's not apart.